This conference will now be recorded.
Hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. So let's see our next server, a very important server that is DNS server. So DNS actually stands for Domain Name System Server. Usually what happens guys that all the computer on internet will be working on IP addresses and we as a human may not be able to remember the numbers for a long time, but names are easy for our remembrance. So what I want is whenever I have to reach a computer, I should use a user-friendly name and it should get converted into IP, whatever might be the IP, right? So in that scenario, the role of DNS will come into the picture. DNS is like a telephone directory where you search for name, it will show you numbers, and when you search for numbers, it will show you names. So when we type a name, for example, I'll say ping and maybe www.google.com, for example. Now, when I type the name, you see this name is getting converted into IP address. Now, who's converting that into IP? That is being done by your DNS. Right? So we have two types of DNS, public DNS, usually maintained by the ISPs or the service providers. And we have a private DNS, what we can also create in Linux for our organizational usages. So how we are going to create our own DNSs, let's try to learn that. See, in order to create our own DNS, we have to maintain two important records. So how we have to prepare it, what are the things that we need to put inside it, all that we are going to learn now. Basically, when you create your own DNS, you need to create two important zones, forward lookup zone, and the other one is reverse lookup zone. The role of forward lookup zone is to convert host name to IP address. And the role of reverse lookup zone is to convert IP to host name. And guys, there are certain keywords as you can see behind the scene. There are certain keywords like A, PTR, CNAME, MX, NS, SOA. These are the keywords what we have to use in order to create our own forward zone and reverse zone. So in order to do this, I'll be going with first forward zone. For example, you want to store the name of a computer and it is associated with what IP. So I'll be storing it like this. For instance, I'll say mlinux 40. I'll say mlinux 40 has an address record 192.168.10.40. So basically, I'm trying to tell here that mlinux 40 is having an address record or this is associated with an IP address 10.40. Now, if you have one more client, you can add another client like mlinux 50. It is having an IP address 192.168.10.50. Same way you can add 60, 70 or whatever IP addresses we uses in our organization for our computers or machines. Now, same thing if you want to put in reverse order, IP pointing towards host name. So we have to start only with host ID. Like I need to say 40 is pointing towards. So in forward zone, we have used A as a keyword. In reverse zone, we have to use PTR as a keyword. So 40 is pointing towards, what is the name? mlinux 40. You can just give the name like that, or you can type the full name. Usually what happens, guys, in most of the organization, we use a full name to our computer, which is called as fully qualified domain name. And a fully qualified domain name should carry host name with your domain name. Every organization maintains a domain name. Like if you're working for some organization like Heteropharma, so it uses hetero.hy or something dot local or AWS dot something, right? Like that. So this is not your website address. This is the complete address of your domain kind of thing. So suppose in my case, I'll be using vpts.com. So what is that vpts.com? Suppose that is the short name of my organization, Virtual Path Techno Solutions, right? So like that. Now, if you have one more, you'll go with 50. It's pointing towards mlinux 50 vpts.com. So it is recommended that the host names what we use should end perfectly with a domain name like that. Now we have other important points also, like you have CNAME. CNAME stands for canonical name or alias name. Sometimes it happens that one machine can be reachable by two names, isn't it? Like you might have visited facebook.com can also be reachable by another name fb.com, right? So one name is the original name and the other one is its alias or canonical name. So suppose mlinux 50, I want to reach out with some other name. So maybe I'll call it uh, my prod. So I'll say my prod is nothing but a canonical name for the real name mlinux 50. So I can type my prod, it will redirect me and take me to mlinux 50 only. So same machine can be reachable by two names. So you can add as many canonical names as you required if you want. Then guys, we have two entries that needs to be present in both the zones. One is NS and the other one is SOA. So what is that NS and SOA? NS, you just need to type what is the name of that machine which you are configuring as your DNS server, or what is the name of your DNS server machine. So suppose I'm configuring mlinux40vpts.com as my name server or DNS server. So I just need to type that this is the name of my DNS server machine. Then SOA, start of authority. Who has authority to start DNS activities or manage DNS activities? So I'll say same machine, mlinux40.vpts.com. This machine is again having start of authority over DNS activity. Okay, so this is the way how we can store our DNS thing. This is just a skeleton I have shown you. We'll go and we'll learn perfectly how to deal with that. But before, let's complete the profile. There are a few other things, guys, which are not really required usually, like hinfo. Why should I give my machine hardware information to client, like how much CPU is there on DNS server, how much RAM is there on DNS server? That doesn't required on the client information, right? Client does not require to know all that thing. So few extra options are there, which I am ignoring, and I request you also to ignore that. That's not really important. Now, let's move to the profile. Usage of DNS is to convert hostname into IP and vice versa. The package required is bind caching name. Earlier, we used to install two separate packages, but now if you install bind alone, automatically caching comes inside it. Daemon or service that is required is name D. Port number 53. Configuration files are two: etcname.conf, that is the main configuration file of DNS. etc named RFC1912 zone, that is a zone config where you will declare forward zone, reverse zone concepts. Document root is a place where you are going to store your forward zone file, reverse zone file, the both databases file. So let's log in into the machine first and start by installing package. You know how to install the package, right? So we just need to say dnf or yum install package name bind. Just install bind alone, it's enough. No need to mention the caching name as it is coming bundled with that. So it says it's already there. That's great. Oops. It should install few extra packages. Right now it is installing. Done. Now once the package is installed, before going for configuration of DNS, check the host name format. See, it is highly recommended that we should use FQDN format. So I told you host name followed by domain name. That tells you that what is the host name and what is the domain name. All right, fine. Now moving forward, let us go to the main configuration file etc named.conf. Go to this file and two changes you have to do, guys. How many changes? Two changes. First, come to the line listen on port number 53, and in this bracket, after the loopback IP, mention the IP address of your machine, current machine that we are going to use as a DNS. Now, DNS is very sensitive, guys. Each configuration has to be carefully edited. Every space, dot, colon, semicolon, any special character is very important. You see the format, it is starting with space and ending with space. So we need to maintain that. So let me come up over here, listen on port number 53, go to insert mode, give a space first. IP address of your machine is 192.168.10.40, followed by semicolon and a space. So space before and space after. Please take care of this thing. Then go to the last line of this paragraph where it is mentioned allow query. So let us come up over here and there is an option allow query localhost. See here you have declared who is the server or what is the server IP. Now here we have to declare who can be your client. Which network do you want to allow having communication with your DNS? So I'll just declare 192.168.10.0/24. Again, a semicolon followed by space. 192.168.10.0/24. That means any computer in 192.168.10 series can be my client. That's what I'm telling here. Now, if you want to be open for everyone, you don't want any IP restrictions, then you can use any and semicolon. So if you want to keep it open. In my case, I want it to be restricted only till one network. So I'm declaring this network only. You can add multiple networks if there is a requirement like that. So in this config, I have just declared who is the server and who can be my clients. That's it. Now, let me save and quit. Now this time is to go for client-side zone configurations. That is forward zone, reverse zone information I have to put. So let me go to our second file, etc named rfc 1912.zones. Now here we are only going to talk about the forward zone and the reverse zone. So let us go to this particular file. See, it has lots of example. Simple thing you have to do is go to the bottom of the file and copy last two paragraph. One para we are going to use for forward zone and the other para we are going to use it for reverse zone. So as you select anything, it automatically gets copied. Let me go to the end and let us do right click and paste it. But before that, I just want to put a hash to be aware that this is our configuration after hashes. All right. Now one, I'm going to use it for forward zone and the other one I'm going to use it for reverse zone. First of all, I'm going to come up over here and I'll be removing all these numbers and extensions, everything. I'll just declare that this particular zone file belongs to a domain called vpts.com. So I'm telling all the computer in this DNS zone will be belonging to vpts.com. You see, when I was explaining you in forward zone, I told you have to use mlinux 40, mlinux 50, myprod. Have I used vpts again and again here? No. Why? Because in the configuration, we will declare that all computers belong to that domain. So automatically that domain will be added to each host name you are adding in forward zone. That's the reason in forward zone, I don't have to repeat VPTS again and again. Type is master and the file which I'm going to create. See, so far I haven't created any file, but I'll create a file and I'm going to store that forward zone, reverse zone stuff into it. So I'll say I'm going to create a file with the name my.flz. Now this .flz has nothing to do with DNS. It's just my choice. In Linux, as you know, in most of the cases, extensions are not important. So whatever extension you put, it would be fine. You can put your name as an extension also, there's no problem. But we have to use the same name to create a file with the name my.flz, where we are going to store forward zone information. Now, same way, we have to put reverse zone information also. So reverse zone concept is to resolve IPs to host name. So here we have declared the domain name for forward zone. In reverse zone, I have to declare domain IP or network address. So what is the network address? All computers are working in 192.168.10 series. After that, it is 40, 50, 60, but the network address is 192.168.10 series, obviously. So I need to type that network address 192.168.10. But there is a small twist in the story here. See, when it comes to reverse zone, there is a rule in DNS. Now, I haven't created that rule or you haven't created, so we cannot change this rule. The rule is you have to put the IP addresses in reverse order. That means you have to start from right to left instead of left to right. So I need to type in reverse order like 10.168.192. Now don't remove that extension in ADDR ARPA. That extension is important in this case. See, I have written the network address 192.168.10 in reverse format. Now, as we have mentioned, the network address 192.168.10, that's the reason in reverse zone, we are not going to repeat it again and again. We'll just use the host ID 40, 50, 60, 70. We are not going to repeat the network address because automatically the network address will be prefixed from here. Type is master again, and the file in which I'm going to store reverse zone entries will be my.rlz. Now these names file we have to create in the document root. So remember the names what you have stored. Same name without any mistake, we have to use it. So let me save and quit. After we have done with the main configuration, zone configuration, it's time now to create forward zone and reverse zone file. Where are we going to create it? In the document root. The document root where we are going to store DNS documents are var named. We have learned that in the profile section. So go to var named, and here we have to create my.flz and my.rlz. Not to worry, there is a sample file name.localhost. Copy the content from that and create forward and reverse zone file. How to copy a file? CP copy name.localhost with a new name my.flz. Normally, guys, this is a correct way to copy a file. But in this case, if you copy like that, there is a problem that you are going to face. See, you might get an issue that after successfully configuring DNS, still from client side, I'm not able to reach server and resolve the names to IPs. Everything you have checked is correct, but still you're not able to connect from client to server to resolve it. The reason will be very simple, that this file what you have created, observe all the files they are belonging to named group, but your file what you have copied, it belongs to root group. As a root, as a normal user, you are not allowed to touch root stuff. So when DNS service will try to reach out root file, it gets rejected. So if you want this file to be reachable by DNS, then you should change the group to named group. Now, if you don't want to land in this trouble, better to copy with permission. How to copy with same permission? You just need to say copy with exact permission of name.localhost and create a new file my.flz. Now you check it out. My.flz is perfectly belonging to a group called named group, right? Now you are not going to have any permission issues. Rest of the thing you leave it, it's absolutely fine. But the group of this file should be named. So whenever you are facing any troubles, check out these permissions first. Let me go to my.flz. See, first of all, it is asking you TTL, time to live. That means how much time you want to keep information in cache. If you keep the information in cache, response time will be faster. Suppose I don't have cache. If a client is asking a question, who is mlinux 40? So request will come to server, server will go to config file, it will check for mlinux 40, and then it will reply back to clients. So overall, the duration, the time of response will be too much. If you want to reduce and you want to give quick responses, then you should keep information in cache. So by default, it is keeping the information in cache for 1 day. If you want, you can change it to 1W, 1 week. You can make one capital M, 1 month. You can keep one Y for 1 year, or you can reduce it to one H, 1 hour, one small m, 1 minute, or just give a value 100, 200 for seconds, 100 seconds, 200 seconds. 1 day can also be written in seconds, 86,400. 86,400 seconds is nothing but 1 day. So anyway, I'm okay for 1 day. Every day if cache is updated, that's fine for me. Then it is asking you to type start of authority server name. Now simply you have to type your computer name, which is going to be configured or which we are configuring as a DNS. So the machine which we are configuring as a DNS is mlinux40.vpts.com. Now one more rule here. In the zone config file, whenever you are mentioning domain name, do not forget to end it with a dot. If you don't end it with a dot, then it will be treated as a syntax error. So wherever you are using vpts.com, never ever forget to end it with a dot. Then, if there are any errors or any problems, whom to report? I'll say report all the errors to root. Root of which domain? vpts.com. Again, end it with a dot. Then, serial number. Serial number is nothing but versioning kind of thing. Whenever you are changing this file, you can change this number. Like today, I'm making first change. So number 1. After some time again, if I come and make a change, I'll change the number to 2. So it is just to have a records that how many changes we have done in the file. You can simply mention 1, 2, 3, 4 this way, or you can mention date also. For example, you can say 2021 and the month is 07, date is 07, and the change number is 1. This is the first change I'm doing. This way also you can mention, or if it does not gives you real reason, then you can simply go with 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever number you want. Keep rest of them as it is. Then in place of name server, just type the full host name one more time. Who is your DNS server? mlinux40 vpts.com. End it with a dot. Then you have two examples. It says you have to use a record or quad a record. Now, when to use single A and when to use 4A? Simple concept is there, guys. Single A has to be used if you are working with IPv4 addresses, IP version 4. And if you are using IPv6 kind of IPs, then you have to use 4As. Single A for IP version 4, pod A for IP version 6. Now, I don't need these examples, so I'm going to delete both the lines. And I'll start with my first name, that is mlinux40. So I'll say mlinux40 is having an address. The address of the machine is 192.168.10.40. Now I'll just copy paste it multiple times and I'll change the numbers 50, 60, 70, 80. Although I don't have 60, 70, 80, just to have a good list, I'm adding it. Right? So I don't have those machines as of now. So I'll go with one second, 50, 60, 70, 80, like that. So you have to give host name, address, IP. That's the way we have to go with. Now let me save and quit. Although guys, I have created everything with lots of care, but I still am not sure whether whatever I have given, have I given it perfectly or does this configuration contains any errors? You remember yesterday while configuring Samba, we used test pam command to test the configuration. Similar to it, you have a command in DNS named -check zone. I want to check the zone file with respect to vpts.com. Which file? my.flz. So you see it says everything is okay. There is no error. Configuration is perfect. So forward zone is created perfectly. Now it's time we have to create reverse zone. You have two choices. Repeat the same story, copy name.localhost with my.flz and make the changes. Or this time, copy my.flz with a new name, my.rlz. Half of the config file will be same, either it is forward zone or reverse zone. So half of my work will be saved if I go with FLZ, isn't it? So I'll go with CP with same permission, copy my.flz with a new name, my.rlz. Now you see FLZ, RLZ both are having same permissions. Let me open my.rlz. Half of the file has to be same. I should not change it. The thing what I have to change here is remove all address records, and in place of address records I have to put pointers. That's it. So let me come up over here and delete those 5 lines. 5dd, and 5 lines are deleted. Open a new line, and you remember the reverse zone format. You have to start with host ID. No need to type the full address. So I'll say 40 is pointing towards mlinux40vpts.com. End it with a dot mandatorily. Now let me copy it YY, paste it PPP number of times. And let me change the numbers over here. I'll say 50, 60, 70, 80. Same subsequent things we have to make the change. 50, 60, 70, and 80. Again, guys, by viewing, I think I haven't made any mistake. But there is a huge chance that I might have done mistake and something missed from my vision. So what I'll do, I'll save and quit, and I'll repeat the test named hyphen check zone. This time check according to domain address 192.168.10 my.rlz. See, according to that domain, either in forward way or reverse way, you can check both. It says OK. That means my forward zone config is also fine. Reverse zone for config is also perfect. Okay. All right. Now when forward zone, reverse zone both are working fine, let's test it whether DNS might work properly or not. So we have to start the services first. I'll say systemctl check the status of named or named. It says inactive and disabled. So I'll say systemctl enable now named. You check it out, you'll find that the services are active, running, and enabled. You need to add DNS, the concept name. Don't add named. Concept name is DNS. How to add? Firewall CMD add service DNS permanent. Then I'll say firewall CMD reload. Lastly, go with list all, and you will find that DNS is working. Now guys, before taking some other machine as a client and testing, I would like to test this on this very machine. I just wanted to make this machine as a client to this machine. It's like from your machine, you're calling your machine and checking it's working or not. But okay, I want to do that. So any Unix or any Linux machine, if you want to inform about DNS server, if you remember networking class, we learned there is a file resolve.conf. Resolve.conf is a file that stores the DNS server IP address. So go to this file and tell this machine that the name server or DNS server IP is 192.168.10.40. Now every time we type a name, it will question to that server. Let me save and quit. Now I'll say ping mlinux 50. You see, when I type mlinux 50, it automatically converted that name into IP. How to test DNS is working fine or not? You have a command nslookup. You can say nslookup check out for mlinux 60 resolving, or check out nslookup tell me about this IP. So you see, when I type a name, it displayed the IP. When I type the IP, it is displaying the name. So both way, I am able to communicate with my DNS server. Now, I'll take another machine as my client. 50 machine will take as a client. So I have powered on already both the machines. 40 we are going to use as a server, and 50 we are going to treat it as a client. Now on the client, first of all, you just check out host name is proper or not. I told you that it is recommended and it's good to use full name of your machine attached with a domain name that is called FQDN or fully qualified domain name. How to change permanently host name in Linux? Hostname CTL, set host name to mlinux50.vpts.com. So just I need to add vpts to its name. Done. Check out in etc hostname. Is it permanently updated? Yes. Now I'll go to etc resolve.com. Every client, you have to go to resolve.com and you have to update the DNS information. Open a new line and say name server, IP address is 192.168.10.40. That is my server. Let us save and quit. Now I'll ask a question, ping mlinux40. See, it's resolving automatically. Or ask nslookup who is mlinux70. So it says mlinux70 belongs to this address. Or say nslookup, tell me about the IP. So it says this IP belongs to this name. Now there is one more command, guys, we use a lot to test DNS. The command name is dig. Dig really digs out huge information about your DNS. So you can say dig, tell me about mlinux60.vpts.com. Full name you have to mention. So dig contains two sections. Question section, you have asked who is mlinux60. Answer section, it says mlinux60 belongs to 192.168.10.60. This 86,400 is nothing but the cache time, one day, what we have stored in the config file. What else? It is telling you that how much time it took to answer you, 2 milliseconds. Who have answered you? This server has answered you. What time? This time. How many packets have been received? 129. Was there any errors? No error. DNS work on TCP or UDP? UDP. Like that. You can also ask an IP address, but whenever you are using an IP address, you have to use -x. Dig -x and the IP address. If you don't use X, it won't work. So X is mandatory when you are using IP. Same thing, question, answer. How much time? 1 millisecond. Who have answered? All that detail. Was there any errors? No error. This is the way, guys, we have to configure a DNS server so that any machine within our network, if you want to communicate, we can simply communicate with names instead of remembering their IP address. All right. Now, as I told you today, we are going to see two servers because these two are very much related to each other. In fact, if not related, they are dependent. At least the second fellow is dependent on first. So we are going to talk about mail server, right? Now, why do we need a mail server, guys? First of all, see, mail server is required for exchange of emails, right? Now, what happens nowadays, guys, that we are having Hotmail, Gmail, they are providing your domain email addresses. That means you don't have to set up your own mail server. You can just contact to Hotmail and Gmail, and you can say that with this domain name, I want to use Gmail servers. So you have to go to Gmail website, but you will log in as musab at vpts.com and it will work. So from Gmail or Hotmail, we are borrowing their server and using them for my email system. So we are using it like a software as a service, right? Or other things. Now, if you want to make your own email server, how can we make our own email server? First of all, guys, whatever email server you might use, whether you are using Exchange server, Windows also have a wonderful email server, Windows Exchange server, fantastic. Or you are using on Linux, SendMail, Qmail, Postfix, Zimra, whatever email server, doesn't matter. All email server, the architecture is going to be same. Architecture will never get changed for any email server. So basically, email servers works on three important agents: mail user agent, mail transfer agent, and mail delivery agent. In short, we call it MUA, MTA, and MDA. So mail user agent is nothing but the client side tool or web tool which allows you to compose an email. For example, you log in into your email account. Maybe you works with Gmail. So you go to Gmail website and there is a button, compose button. When you click on that compose button, it gives you a box to draft your email, right? So that box is the responsibility of mail user agent. Now that boxes we can use in our Outlook Express also. Maybe I don't want to always connect to the server, so we configure Outlook. In Outlook, there is compose button. It gives you a place to compose your email. So any tool that you use to compose your email will be called as mail user agent, through which we can communicate to our email server. Now, once you have written the email, you will type recipient's address and then you'll click on send button. What happens when you click on send button? The mail will be transferred from one account to other account. Now, whose responsibility is it to transfer the mail from one account to other? That is the responsibility of mail transfer agent. For this, we will configure Exchange server, Qmail server, SendMail, Postfix, whatever different mailing solutions your organization might be using or you yourself might be using it. But now, guys, see earlier, initially when we started to use email systems, you know how we used to check the emails. Every day, we used to go to a specific website. One second, guys. We used to go to a specific website, and on that website, we used to log in, like Gmail website is there. So I'll go to gmail.com. It will ask me for username, password. I will type username, password, and then I'll log in and I'll check what are the emails are coming and going. So are we doing the same way nowadays, guys? No, really not, isn't it? Nowadays, what happens is, as soon as the mail comes, I want to see that mails on my mobile phone immediately or on my laptop, desktops, wherever. So how is it possible that the mail is coming on a server, but I am able to receive and see it on my personal devices? That is the responsibility of mail delivery agent. It will deliver the mails wherever you are asking it to deliver, on your mobile phone, your laptop, desktops, iPads, tablets, wherever you want. See, on the server, it enables some agents, LMTP, POP3, Post Office Protocol, IMAP. These services would be running on the server, and as soon as the mail is received, they'll throw that mails or send that mails to your personal devices. And all these three agents will be working under one name, one protocol, which is SMTP, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. Simple Mail Transfer Protocol will enable to configure the whole software for you. right? It uses the port number 25. Always remember SMTP for any mail server, it uses by default port number 25. So here we learn that usage is to send and receive emails. Packages required. Postfix is very important. In Red Hat Linux or in most of the Linuxes, we use postfix as your uh, software that is configured as a mail server. Dovecot is used for mail delivery agent. If you want mails to be delivered to people's personal devices, then you can go for Dovecot. Configuration file is etc postfix main.cf and etc dovecot.conf. So that is your postfix config and this is your dovecot config. Port number 25 that works for SMTP. Daemons or services, postfix and dovecot. Now guys, whenever you are trying to configure a mail server, whatever mail server it might be, the prerequisite to work with mail server is first, you should have a working DNS server in your environment to support mail server. Without DNS, mail server is never going to work out. So make sure you have a mail server and DNS server. So if you have a DNS server, then you can go with mail server. Okay, so we have configured the DNS server and I'm going to take the same machine to work with mail server also. Now guys, this is not a complete email solutions. Let me tell you before beginning, like Gmail, Hotmail, or Exchange mail server. This kind of mail servers are required with some applications. Like you have SAP and you want SAP to fire the mails, right? Or you have some monitoring tools like Nagio, Zabbix, right? Which you want to send the mails. So we can create the simple mail to support application. So this is not a proper email server where users might be logging graphically and doing. So it's a command line mail server to support application. And this is what people require minimum in the organizations. So step number one, I'm going to install postfix and dovecot, both packages. Anyway, this is not a complete email server, so you can ignore dovecot. But if you are using dovecot, I'll tell you how we can configure. Okay, few more packages will install and done. So the packages are ready now. Let's go to DNS configuration file. Sorry, not DNS, mail config file, etc postfix main.ca. This is the configuration file for your mail server, and it is one of the biggest configuration file that you see. If you set line numbers, go to end of the file, Shift G. How many lines you are able to see? The last line is 738 line. So one of the biggest configuration file that we are going to edit. So let me go back again to the top by pressing two small G's. It will take you back to top. Now, I have kept line numbers that you have to edit for your ease of access. So we'll start with line number 94. So let me go to line number 94 by searching it. I'm at line number 94. It is commented. Remove the hash mark to open that line and type the host name. Full host name is better to type. The host name is mlinux40vpts.com. Then come to line number 102. It is also commented. Use del key to remove the hash and put the domain name. The domain name is vpts.com. Now let's come below One more option is there. No periods are required. You have to give with dots. No periods are required. Now, one more thing over here, we have to uncomment my origin, my host name or my domain name. See, how do you want people to receive emails? Does your email should get full address? Who has sent the mail? Suppose musab at mlinux40vpts.com, that way, or just musab at vpts.com. So if you want musab at vpts.com, that means username at domain name, then uncomment 118. So all your mails will carry the domain address that who has sent the mail. Now, one more thing is here that by default, all the mails coming from outside will be blocked. That means all the mails which are being sent by mlinux 50, mlinux 60, or anyone from internet will be received by this machine. Because here there is an option set called inet interfaces localhost. That means I can only receive the mails which have been sent and received locally. It won't allow us to receive the mails from outside. Now, I don't want it to work in that closed environment, so I'm commenting it. And I'll uncomment inet interface all. That means I welcome the mails from everyone. I don't want it to be restricted myself till local machine only. Now let me go below. We'll stop at line number 183, right? I'll request you to comment 183 and uncomment 184. This is what we need. This is called destination. I want to send mails to everyone. I want to send the mails locally. I want to send the mails over internet by my domain name wherever it required. I don't want it to restricted only local way. So just uncomment 184 and comment 183. Now we'll go to the last edit, which would be around 283. It is also commented. You see each lines wherever we are working, we have to uncomment it first. And here you have to declare the network ID in which this mail server is working. So I'll say our mail server is working in 192.168.10.0/24. So this mail server will fire the mail through this network. I'm not restricting it only in that network. I'm telling my mail configuration that you have to send the mails or receive the mails through this network. This network will allow you to communicate to outside world. That's what I'm telling it. So these are the basic configurations what we have added. Now let me save and quit. So all the steps, which lines you have to edit, I have mentioned here. So follow this. Next thing, I want to also configure postfix, sorry, dovecot. See, dovecot, what I need to do is I just need to enable the protocols. That's it. There is no big configuration for dovecots. Go to etc dovecot.conf. In this, go to line number 24 and you see this line is commented. Just uncomment that line, and there is a typo here, submission. This is a mistake, guys. This we are facing since 8.2. Prior to 8.2, there was no such word submission. We used to work properly. But now as that work is coming, it is giving issues. So remove the word submission. It is unwanted thing. We just need IMAP, POP3, LMTP. That's it. These are the three protocols. Save and quit. That's it. Only one change. Now we have to start the services. Systemctl status, postfix, and dovecot. Both information you can check. See, postfix is also not running, dovecot is also not running. I have to start both the services. So I'll say systemctl enable now postfix and dovecot. Go back and check the status again. Postfix is also running. Dovecot is also running. Now, guys, we also need to add SMTP in firewall. So I'll say firewall CMD add service SMTP permanent. Then firewall CMD reload. Now you go and list it out. You will find SMTP is done. Now, guys, I told you that DNS plays a very vital role for mail server. See, you need to inform mail server, sorry, DNS server that there is a mail server in our environment and you have to support it better. This is called passing MX record. So in DNS, we need to pass mail exchange record, which enables DNS to know who is a mail server so that it can support perfectly to it. So I'll go to etc, sorry, where named, where we have created forward zone. Only forward zone is required. So I'll go to my.flz. See, over here, I need to pass two entries. It happens, guys, that people might reply me back that mail to whom? They might say that mail to vpts.com. Now, guys, vpts.com is not a proper machine. It's a DNS. Sorry, it's a domain. Now, if I send a mail to vpts.com, it may bounce back or it may fail. So if you want such mails to be received also, then just pass one entry, vpts.com dot. You can say it has an address record 192.168.10.40. So if people send a mails to vpts.com, those mails will be sent to 10.40. So I have just eliminated one uh, failures might happen that if people send a mail to that, that mails will be transferred to it. Now it's time to pass MX record. See, I have to start again with vpts.com. I need to say that for this domain, there is a mail exchange server. MX stands for mail exchange server. Now, guys, if you have two mail servers, you need to set priority for them. Who should get high priority and who should get low priority? How can I set a priority between two mail server? By using some numbers, random numbers, your choice, whatever your lucky number kind of thing. So if you use lower number, suppose I have one 10 and the other machine I give 20. 20 fellow will get high priority, 10 fellow will get low priority. So the difference between two machines will be measured by the number what you are setting. Lower the number will get low priority, higher the number will get high priority. In our case, I have only one mail server, so it doesn't matter whatever number you give. But when you have two mail servers, between them, if you want to set priority, the most important mail server you give higher number and the least important mail server you give lower number. So I'm starting with 10, doesn't matter. So I'll say m linux 40 is nothing but my DNS server. So I declared for this domain there is a mail server mlinux 40. My basic requirement was I want to update DNS who is mail server. So I pass mx record that this machine is my DNS server. Now, whenever a query coming from this server, DNS will give it more priority. It will give it more importance to it. Okay, all right. That's the way how we have to pass MX record. So remember this thing. See, neither DNS nor mail server will be a part of certification. In certification exam, you won't be asked to configure DNS server or mail server. But in real scenarios on production, there might require these concepts. If you are not configuring a mail server also or DNS server also, sometimes it happens that you have to update MX record. Now you don't know how to pass MX entry, then we'll get confused. So this is the way your domain name, MX, priority, and which machine is going to be your DNS server. This entry you must pass on. That's it. Nothing else to be done. Save and quit. Now, any changes you have done in the configuration, you must reload DNS service that is named. You can just check it out, lookup vpts.com. See, we have added vpts.com address, so it's working. Reload is fine. We have also added the firewall entry, right, for SMTP, right? So now my mail server is completely configured to send and receive mails to anyone. Now, guys, if you want to send a mail to Gmail, Hotmail, Rediff Mail, Yahoo Mail, or any internet-based mail services, then you cannot do it from this machine. The reason is you should purchase a proper domain name from internet. Like you have GoDaddy that sells the domain, so you have to purchase a proper domain name from there. Or AWS Route 53, it also gives the domain names, so you have to purchase a domain names from there. You have to use a public IP that can connect to internet. So with a proper domain name and public IP, this mail server can fire mails to Hotmail, Gmail. If you just use internet and from this unknown domain, if you try to send a mail, the mails will be rejected for security reason. Gmail, Hotmail, Rediff Mail will not entertain the mails coming from unregistered domains, right? So I cannot test it on internet, but I can test it between two separate machines, 40 as a server, 50 as a client. So let's go to client. On the client, I need to install one or two packages. DNF install postfix and a command mailx. See, mailx is a command line tool that will allow you to send mails and check mails, right? I'll go with -y. We have to install mailx on server side also to compose email. Okay. Also, in order to fire and receive the mails, we need to configure client side something. Normally, guys, when you work with Gmail, Hotmail, you don't have to configure anything on client. You just need a browser and connect. But as this is a command line communication we are going to do with postfix, on the client side, we need to do two or three changes. So go to etc postfix main.ca. Go to this config and set the line numbers. Probably you can go to line number 132. See, inet interface is set to localhost. This is going to create a problem. All the mails coming from outside will be rejected. If you don't want that, then comment line number 35 and uncomment line number 32. This is the first change you have to do. And one more change we have to do, probably you can go to line number 240 or a little more below. I just forgot the line number. We need to set up relay host. Okay, 340 or 337 you can go. See, there is a thing mentioned here, relay host. Now we need to enable relay host. So we can add a new line here. and you can type relay host equals to, within a bracket, I'll type the full name mlinux40.vpts.com. You can either put the host name or you can put IP address if you have a IP address like this. Okay. Now what is relay host? I'll explain you in a short while. Let us understand the relay host first. Or let's finish the configuration. I also need to add SMTP in firewall. So I'll say firewall command add service SMTP permanent, then firewall command reload. You can go for list all. So you see SMTP is granted. Also, before I forget, you should also start postfix services. They are not running. Systemctl enable now postfix. Now let me explain you why did I mention relay host concept. Let me choose a proper pen. Let us say guys, you have a mail server config. 40 is my mail server. I have clients. 50 is a client. 60 is a client. 70 is a client. 80 is a client. 90 is a client. Whatever. Now guys, from mail server, the server. So from mail server, I can send a mail to 50 and 50 can reply back to server. 60 can send a mail to 40 and 40 will reply it back. So client to server mailing will work. So server to client, client to server. I can easily send a mail, receive a mail, send a mail, receive a mail. But guys, I have a requirement here. I want 50 client to send a mail to 70 client. Can it be possible? No. 50 is not a mail server. 70 is not a mail server. So 50 cannot send a mail to 70 and 70 cannot reply to 50. If you want to do it, you have to do it through a relay host. So that means I have to send a mail to 70 through my relay host, that is 40. So through 40, it will communicate to 70, and through 70, through 40 again, it will reply back to 50. So the exchange server, the server works as a relay host through which two clients can also exchange the email. So every client should have the information about relay host, then it can communicate to any machine whichever they want through the mail server. So you should also know how to pass relay host information in configuration. So just enable relay host line and type mail server address. So through mail server, two clients can exchange emails. Okay. So this is the way how we have to work with. That's great. Now let's test the mails. So let me go to server side and you see I need a mail command. If I type mail command, it says command not found. But thanks to DNF, it is telling if I install mailx, I'll get mail command. Do you want to install it? Yes. Done. To check the mails, whatever you have received, run mail command. So it says you haven't received any mail. Now I'll show you how to send a mail on command line. Just run mail. A mail should carry subject. Subject I'd like to give is test mail. To whom you send a mail? I want to send a mail to root user at the other machine. What's the other machine name? mlinux50vpts.com. Now, when you hit enter, see both machines should be participating in same DNS. So we have already configured DNS. We have tested that both machines are collaborating with DNS. So that's the reason I don't have to test it again. Now, as soon as you hit enter, it will give you a place to compose your email. Now, this is cat command. If you hit enter one line, you cannot go back again to top line, remember. So I'll say hi root. Now I have locked the first line. I cannot go back up again. This is a test mail. Please reply back. Regards, root. How to fire the mail? Control D. Now it says end of text. That means the mail is fired. Now I'm not sure whether the mail has really gone out or it is stuck inside my system. To test the mail flow, you can use a command mail queue. When you run mail queue, the mail queue should always be empty. There should not be any queue. If there is a queue, there might be reasons. Maybe the network is slow, or in DNS there is a heavy load, so it is not allowing this entry to follow. Maybe you have not passed MX record, right? So always mail queue should show empty. That's a good sign. Now let me go to client side. Now as we try to do a work, we get a notification that we have received a mail. To check the mail, just run mail command. See, it says you have N means a new mail, mail number one from root, and the message is or the subject is test mail. To read a mail, just type the number before mail, maybe mail number one. So it tells you who has sent the mail, root@vpts.com, right? And here is your message. Now, if I want to reply back, I'll type R for reply. Now I'll say, hi there, got your mail. Regards. Control D to fire the mail. To come out of mailbox, type Q, right? Now go back to server, do your work. As you are doing your work, it may give you a notification you received a mail. Now run mail command and it says I have one mail, which is reply of test mail. If I read it, you see I got the message from the other end. Hi there, got your mail. Now guys, as I tell you that this is not a complete email solution. It is application support email, which is also very critical and important. Our business applications, whatever we are using, they want to automatically send mails. So how they can do it? They can do it with the help of this concept. Excuse me. Right? So this is the way how you can configure a simple mail. If you want that graphic connectivity through browser, attaching a file, color codes, fonts, then we need to install a separate software on the top of it and configure it as a mail server. Like you have Squirrel Mail, Zimra Mail. So when you install that application, it allows you to use it through browser. So through web browser, you can access and you can do different concepts, whatever you want to do with your mail server. That is it, guys, for today's session. If you have any questions to ask, you can put your questions now. There's a question coming in. Configuring the my.flz and LLZ seems a bit manual and error prone. Is there an automated way to manage, especially in large organization? Obviously, if you want to do it automatically, then you have to go with Ansible configuration management tools, from where you can feed the details and it may configure automatically, kind of thing. But most probably in this scenario, we have to do it manually. But yes, automation tools are available, which we are going to learn in our next segment after servers, how we can do configurations with them. Scripting is there. If you use shell scripting, that can also be possible. Yeah, you're most welcome. Great, then we'll stop the session here, guys. I trust that all of you are practicing every day, or at least in a week. Practice and come back with questions if you have anything, guys, because we are now moving towards Ansible. Just tomorrow we will have one more server, and day after we'll start working with Ansible. So please do practice and let me know if you have any questions before we start Ansible sessions. Thank you very much, guys. See you tomorrow.